Alright gang, welcome back to our investment challenge here on Riverview. It is now May. This is episode 10, I believe. And we spent some money. As you can see, we've got 25,675 in the bank at current. Where we left off in the last episode, we had somewhere in the mid-40s. Obviously, there were some fees that we incurred overnight and the loan interest and everything else. But I did actually place an order for 2 mowers. So these mowers should help us out tremendously because today is a day we're actually going to be able to harvest our field that we planted with grass. It's going to be needed. Now, the meadow did grow back, which surprisingly, it did grow back. However, the animals are not at 100% health anymore because they did run out of meadow grass in the last episode. So, they're like 85%, I think, something like that. So they're still fine, but they're not as good as they could be. But they should be back up to 100% within the next episode once we go to June because they have meadow grass now, and they're going to have grass right now as well from us. Now, I mistakenly should have taken off... Let me get out of first-person view here for a second. I mistakenly should have taken off the weight here, so that's a bit of a problem. But let me hook up to this stuff, and we'll kind of talk you through what we bought here. They're pretty useful, I think. They're going to help us out a lot. Obviously, one's a Pottinger and one is a Kloss, but we can talk through them a little bit more here once we get hooked up here. So first things first, we got a Pottinger Cat 310. This mod just recently came out on ModHub. It's a very nice Pottinger. Not too expensive either. It's got a 3.1 or 3.2 meter width, something like that. And then in the back here, we've got a Class Disco 32. Very similar. I think it's a 3.1 or 2.9. It's somewhere around the 3. So it's not as wide as we potentially could get. But as far as financially responsible purchases go, this is the best that we can do at current from ModHub standards. So that's what we went with. So we're going to bring this back to the farm here. Actually, I should change that statement. We're going to go straight to the actual field instead of to the farm. So I need to go the other way. The other way is going to be faster. So let me turn around here. So we'll head straight to the field there and we'll get started on getting the harvest going. And it'll be good, man. We'll have a good amount of grass here. Now, all the grass we're going to get off this field, more than likely, we're not going to put into the pen for the goats and the sheep because they realistically won't need that much right now. Really, what we need to do with it is try to make some money off of it, right? And the way that I envision doing that is by putting down some kind of a production of some sort, a silo that can turn grass into silage for us. Now, we could go the approach of doing bales. I'm not against that. We might still go that approach. Really depends on money, right? We're going to figure out what we can get as far as money goes and go that approach and go from there. Right now we have 25,675. I can tell you right now this is not enough at current. I do not think to be able to purchase a silo that could be utilized to turn our grass into silage. But we could do some contracts as you're used to us doing, right? We could do some contracts to get up there. Or we go the approach of doing typical baling and wrapping. Both of those approaches are perfectly fine with me. I have no problem doing either one. Obviously, the silo would be a little bit more convenient for us. But I really do not care either way. So we'll just see what makes sense as we carry along, and we'll go from there, right? Now, as far as today's episode goes, I've mentioned this a number of times before. Work has caught up to me a little bit, so I'm a little bit behind. So if you're a member, specifically, on the channel, and if you're not... go check it out. Links in the description down below if you want to be, if you're interested in it. I have not had as many videos up early for them to watch before they're released to everyone else due to that reason. So I'm not going to linger on that for very long. Just letting you know what's going on. And I kind of mentioned it a couple of times briefly. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, probably a week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. That this was coming and it has actually arrived. And I'm getting it's catching up with me a little bit. I'm working some late hours and it's a little exhausting, obviously. So, hopefully, though, as it, levels out eventually, once I get up to speed on everything that I need to get up to speed on, it'll slow down a little bit, and I'll be a little bit better off and get back into the groove. So anyway, we are heading up here to the field now. We're very close. We are passing our yard right now as it stands. We do have a few pallets that have spawned from the goats and the sheep themselves. We will take a look at it. We know in the last episode that wool was a pretty decent price to sell, so we will take a look at it. Might sell some wool today, which would help us, maybe eclipse that 30 grand mark, which I think is about, if I remember correctly, what we need for the cheapest silo to silage production, right? I think. It's not the most elegant looking silo by any means. It's just an old, rusty looking silo. But I really don't care what it looks like as long as it does the job for us, right? So we are pulling up here now. Ready to harvest. It has about a 95% yield bonus, I believe, on it right now, which is pretty good. I'll take that. It needed some rolling, obviously. That was really the thing that was missing to be able to get it a little bit higher. Yeah, 95%. So, should get a decent chunk of grass out of this, honestly, gang. And go ahead and turn the beacons off here. We'll get out of first-person view. And we can go ahead and get started here. Now, one thing we're going to have probably an issue with, and we're going to have to probably lease something, I'm sure, is in regard to, you know, picking up all this grass off the ground, right? We really want it to probably be in a nice windrowed path. So that's another expense, right? We're going to have to either lease something or maybe buy something, but the odds of buying it are probably going to be low. It's probably going to have to be leased. Now, I can tell you the item we're going to utilize to pick the grass up off the ground after it's in a nice windrowed pile. We are going to lease that. That is going to cost us around $4 grand, something like that. So it's pretty pricey. Realistically, we want to purchase that as soon as humanly possible, but for obvious reasons, right now that's just not in the budget. But this is going to work well. As you can see, it's we're populating some decent grass here. This is going well. It's going to take us a while due to the size of the field here, and just the width of the mowing is not as wide as you would probably realistically want for this size of the field, but that's okay. We don't really have any other fields, right? The only other thing we're able to do right now is do contracts, and we've done a lot of contracts, so I feel like an episode here where we're just working specifically in our own field seems like a good, smart approach. Let's see. So what else can we talk about? Really, this mowing here, what it's really going to hopefully do for us, since it will grow back on a quick basis now that we have it going, right? Grass mows back quickly. We will have to put down a fertilizing application here once we're done, but otherwise we don't have to worry about re-drilling it or anything like that, right? It's already done. So that's the nice thing about grass, and hopefully if we're able to get this silo, or even if we can't, but if we're able to start making some money off silage in general, we can get a little bit closer here to be able to potentially purchase another one of the yard areas or the farms, whatever you want to call them. Because as you know, if you don't know, check the description down below. It tells you all the details on what the rules are and everything from this challenge by Rusty Money Gaming. But basically, I had to buy 4 different farms, or basically yards where they would be farms. And within that, I have to have pretty much every single animal on each one of those farms. And one of the farms is going to have 2 animals on it. The only exceptions from that are bees, dog, and horses, right? Any of the other animals that require maintenance, as I like to call it, right? Pigs, sheep, goats, cows, water buffalo, etc. And you have to have so many head of each of those. Now, we're going to have no problem doing that as far as the goats and the sheep go. We'll have to see how things go when we get a little bit further along and start putting in another animal, right? Now, they actually are putting these in relatively nice little windrow paths here. It's going to take a while, but we could just bypass the windrowing altogether. And just kind of utilize the paths that are being, given to us right now, and go at it that way. That could be an approach for us to take here. Might be the way to go, but I do think a windrow is really the smarter play here, just based on the fact of how much grass is actually going to be here, right? This is going to be a lot of grass. A lot of grass. I am glad we switched gears, though, because originally, in case you missed it for whatever reason, we were talking about making this field into some kind of a cereal crop field of some sort. And we shifted gears after realizing how quickly the sheep and the goats were eating through the meadow grass that we'd put down. In hindsight, if I could go back and do it again, I probably would have expanded the area there for them even more than I currently have as far as the meadow grass goes, right? So expanded the actual area, the pen area for the sheep and the goats there. In hindsight, I would have made it bigger. I probably would have went further up on the hill there to the extent where, you know, there's only one way in and out in the back there instead of having a full wraparound ability. And what I mean by a full wraparound ability is I could drive all the way around it, right? But, you know, it's, you live and learn, I guess, right? That's, there's nothing I can do about it now. At least the good thing about this, though, even though we're not having the widest width here to mow this, it is going at a quick pace, right? 13 miles per hour, 12 miles per hour, somewhere around in there. We're cruising, man. We're cruising. So it really won't take that long to do this. So without further ado, we're jumping to a time lapse here. We're going to get this sucker done, and we'll see where we're at after that.
Alright, this is pretty much the field all done here, gang. I decided to go around the outside headland edge here, outside of the actual field itself. Just the grass on the outside, right?
Not going to be the best grass in the world, but it is some more grass that we can utilize, right, and put towards picking all this up. And I don't know what I was thinking when I said, well, maybe we don't need to do any windrowing. We are definitely going to have to do windrowing. There's just no way. There's just no way. All right. So let's head back to the yard here. We'll drop this stuff off, and then we're going to go have to lease a windrower. And then we will lease the item I talked about, the belt item I talked about, which would be able to pick up all the grass and shoot it into the trailer we purchased a number of episodes back. Let's get all that sorted, and I will see you back here on the farm. Or back here on the farm. Back here on the field. You're already on the farm, technically. Back on the field. All right, we're underway. We've got the nice Samaz. We've used this many times. It is a relatively inexpensive windrower, and it's got a decent width for the price. It did cost us just under $1,000 to lease this for the day. So this should be good, right? This should be a good one for us. It should put them in the nice windrows for us. It shouldn't have to take. Well, it shouldn't take us, rather, too long to go around the field here. There's a lot to do, but it really with the width here, I mean, it's going to cut what we just mowed in half, right? I mean, so it's going to be half the time it took us to mow the field just to windrow it up, so it's not going to be too bad. Now we get up here to a portion where we can kind of go straight for a little while. I will check the board and see if there's any kind of contracts out there that make sense for us, because we are going to need some money, as I mentioned, if we want to go the path of doing the silage, which I think is the way I want to go. There's a fertilizing contract out here. It's the field right next to us, so that one's pretty good. It's got plenty of time left, so I'm not too concerned about it going away. There's some harvesting, cultivating, bale wrapping. There is some mowing contracts, which would be really good for us, right? Both of those would be easy for us to accomplish. Now, we could just lease the equipment they have there, which, you know, would mean that we'd have to lose a little bit of profit. But $600 is not that much of a loss in profit, and it wouldn't put a whole lot more wear and tear on our tractor, right? So that might be the way to go for that approach. So we'll see. We might have to do one of those today. Really depends on how fast our trailer gets filled up, right? Once we have all this windrowed up and it's in a nice, you know, path for us to be able to go through and try to pick it up, it really is going to depend how much you can actually hold that's on here. How many times are we going to have to go and unload this? Because obviously, I think the first one we do, we're going to take it and unload all of it, more than likely, into the pen for the sheep and the goats, right? That way there's plenty of grass in there. We shouldn't have to worry about the grass for the foreseeable future that way, because the meadow grass will obviously be there for a little while, right? But as we carry on here, and they continue to reproduce, it is going to be that we're going to need more and more grass in there, right? So, but early on, I feel like one trailer load into there should be sufficient for a while. I mean, this grass will be ready to harvest again in like 2 or 3 episodes, right? So, the fact that we have this massive of a field here, I don't think it's as big of a problem as it has been to this point, right? Now that we've got it set up, we're able to mow it, I don't think it's going to be a big problem anymore. So really, you know, we want to get that silo down so we can make money, because we really need to make some money. We need to be able to buy some more equipment instead of continuing to lease equipment. The more we lease equipment, the more, you know, it's just costing us in the long run. And I'm not saying there's anything specifically wrong with doing any of the leasing, right? We can certainly do it every time, but realistically, you want your own equipment just to save yourself a little bit of money every time you're doing something, especially on your own land, right? That's where you really want the money. Well, you really want to be keeping the money, I should say, and not having to spend money just to work your own fields, right? So at a bare minimum, we need the equipment for harvesting, windrowing, and picking up all the grass off the ground for this field. That's what we need. And that's not a cheap, those are not cheap expenses. Really, we'd probably want this windrower at a minimum. This windrower is $19,000, something like that. So, not cheap. You already saw, or I already showed you the equipment we're going to utilize that's going to shoot the grass into the trailer itself. That's like 60 grand, right? So we're at 80 grand already. And that's just bare minimum. Bare minimum we need is 80 grand. Then you've got the silo for the silage. And I already mentioned that's about 30 grand, I think, if I remember correctly. I'll have to go check it later on, but I'm pretty sure it's 30 grand. So we're at 110 grand total, right? That's what we need, around 110 grand total. And we do not have that, and we're probably not going to have that for quite a while. All right, we're nearly done here with the windrowing, and that's a lot of grass, gang. That's a lot of grass. Rain's in the forecast. I'm not sure exactly when the rain's going to get here. We'll check the menu here in just a second to see if we can figure out when the weather is going to turn on us. Right now, it's a perfectly cloudyless day. So you would expect it not to show up for a while here. Let's see. Not until 1800. It looks like hail, actually. It is hail. It's not even rain. It's hail. Even though it says rain up there, it's technically, according to the weather down there in the bottom, it is hail. So, but it's not till 1800, so we've got plenty of time. We have nearly 7 hours left. And we should be, and realistically, we should be done before 1800 gets here. I would think. Well, I guess I shouldn't guarantee that. We've got to do some contracts, right? But I still think even with doing that and getting all the grass and everything up off the ground here, we'll be done with it, I would assume. So, all right, we are done. So let's return this before we incur another hour of fees for leasing that. Okay, that's been returned. Now we need... Actually, you know what? I'm going to save really quick here first. I've been hearing a lot of people having issues with some crashing ever since the new DLC came out. So I don't know if any updates have been done since then. Really don't know. But just to be safe, let's save it and make sure, huh? All right, so what color do we want here? It really doesn't matter. We're leasing it, right? Does it cost us money to change the color? No. So it doesn't really matter. Let's do a green. Let's do a John Deere green. And I like the black with it. We'll go with that. Let's lease it. $3,315. Like I said, it's not cheap. Puts us down to 21. So realistically, if I'm correct by my statement that it costs around 30 grand for the silo, right? We really need like 15 grand, right? Because we're going to the fees and everything we're going to incur from the loan itself, right? So that's really what we need more than anything. But it's really just going to depend on what we can get done as far as a contract goes today. We might have, well, we probably should have considered doing the contract first before we pick up the grass off the ground, now that I think about this. Mostly because if how am I going to put it? If we get more than 2 trailer loads, we're going to have to do something with that excess grass, which means it's probably going to go into... Ooh, I hit something. It's probably going to go into the pen with the sheep and the goats, and realistically, I didn't want to do that, right? I wanted to put it in the silo so we could make some more money, because that's what we need desperately right now is money. Oh, well. I will head to the shop and pick it up. I'll meet you back here at the field. Let's get it right this time. The field, yet again, and we'll get underway unloading the grass from the ground into the trailer. I'm going to stop at our yard here first, though, and I'm going to drop off the weight. I did pick up the weight. As you remember, I had the weight still on when I went to pick up the mowers, and we're going to have to drop the weight off now. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to pick up the trailer here while we're at it, and I will see you shortly. All right, gang, we are underway, and it's working well, exactly how I wanted it to work, and this is going to be tremendous. 16 mile per hour. It's going to take us no time at all to pick all this up off the ground here. And it looks like it's actually going to store a lot more than I had initially expected. It's still going to be multiple trailer loads. We can tell you that right now. It's definitely going to be multiple trailer loads. So we are going to have to figure out something. I just don't know what yet. We'll figure something out, though, I assure you. The nice thing is that the width here is pretty decent. Even though it doesn't really look like it would be that big of a width, it actually is. It's hitting even a little bit outside the edge of the perimeter, I would say, of the trailer and the tractor itself. So that certainly helps with the turning radius, right? And as you can see, we are just now going around the first headland pass, and we're at 50% already. So we're probably going to have 4 or 5 trailer loads here, I would think. Probably 4. Which is fantastic. I mean, as you can see, we're at 33,000 liters right now, so I think this is like a 50,000-ish liter trailer. I'm very happy I downloaded this mod, man. This mod is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. And it gives us a little bit of a change of pace, right? You've seen me do bales a lot already on a lot of the different series so far in FS25. You've also seen me utilize a basic loading wagon. This is a different approach to that loading wagon, right? We're just going to leave that there. That way I don't have to drive with it, because it is a little bit intrusive when you're in first-person view. And by a little bit, I mean you pretty much can't see hardly anything. So we will take all of this 47,000 liters of grass, and we're going to we are going to dump every bit of it into the pen for the sheep and the goats. So let's head back there. We'll take care of that. And yeah, then we're going to have to figure something out, because we don't have enough money to put down that silo for the silage, and that is the approach I've fully decided to go with at this point. So I'll see you at the yard, and let's dump this in there, and we'll see what kind of money we could potentially get out of the pallets of wool and the goat milk. Maybe that'll get us to 30 grand. If it does, fantastic. Because the more I think about doing contracts today, it's going to make it into a very long episode when we still have to fertilize the field that we're currently picking the grass up from, right? So, might hold off on doing the contracts to the next episode if, and only if, we can actually accomplish the goal of making the money we need from the pallets. If not, maybe we do the fertilizing contract. That probably would get us over the hump. If we count the pallets, I mean, like if we're selling the pallets and we're still not quite there, you know, maybe then we utilize the fertilizing contract, because that is a relatively quick contract in comparison to the other one. All right, we are here, and we are dumping grass quickly here, gang. As you can see, it is filling up nice and quick. This is going to help out tremendously. They've already chewed the meadow grass to 6,820. We had 8,000 at the start of the episode. So they definitely are going to need that grass, man. It's definitely going to be helpful for them, for sure. Now, that should be, I would hope, sufficient until the next time we're ready to harvest the grass. I would think that's enough. I've been wrong many times, but I would think that's enough. Now, as far as this goes, how much goat milk do we have? 731, so it's not a full 1,000 liters yet. Goat milk it's a good price normally. The amount you get out of goat milk is solid, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It fluctuates a little bit, but it's normally not too bad. There you go. As you can see, it's 7,838, so it's not as good as it potentially could be, but that's still decent, right? Even if we sell it now at $7,838, we're still going to make a good amount of money off of it. Now, the wool, it should still be decent, because I think last month was the best to sell wool. I'm almost positive. It's been a couple days since that episode, and everything else going on in life here, I've kind of forgot. But yeah, last month was the best. So it's still good for wool too, right? Still 3,529 at the farmer's market. So that's still a decent price too. We've got 2 of those. So we definitely should be able to get to 30 grand. So I'll tell you what. Let's hook up to the back of the trailer here. I'll get everything stacked up here. We're going to go sell it. We're gonna sell the goat milk too, even though it's not a full 1,000 liters. We're gonna sell it anyway. I think we're going to need it to get across that $30,000 fresh threshold. Excuse me. The wool would get us close, but I think we'd be just short, and we definitely need 30 grand. I did look that up off camera. At least 30 grand, right? It might be more, depending on where we put it at, right? If it has to do any kind of land modifications or I say modifications, land manipulations is really what I meant, right? Let me get these stacked up here. All right, here we are. Not my best stacking job, but I feel like I say that a lot anyway, but that's all right. It still worked. 8,310, exactly what I said. I said I thought we were going to be just short, and that is the case. We were just short. But selling the 731 liters of goat milk will get us over the hump. So let's go sell that, and then we can continue with our loading of all the grass off our grass field. All right, let's get this goat milk sold, huh? Perfect. 35,310. So let's just pull over here to the side really quick. Let's jump into the construction here. We'll head back to our yard here, which is right here. And we got to figure out where we want to put this silo at, right? We've got our buying silo here, which is tucked away nicely. I'm not exactly sure where I want to put this one at. I feel like up here would make sense a little bit, right? But it's not really the flattest area, so I don't know how well it would do up here. Let's do another save just in case it crashes. Like I said, people have been dealing with a lot of crashes lately. I don't want the game to crash on me at all, if at all possible. So, one we want here is this guy right here. Transforms the hay and grass into silage. Here we go. Overlaps another object. What's it overlapping here? I have no idea. I think it's going to work there. Looks good to me. I'm happy with it there. It's kind of tucked away, hidden. I'll get this back to the farm here, and we'll get going again with working on the field, the grass field, and try to get the rest of that grass picked up, and a lot of it going directly into that silo so we can make some money soon. All right, we might actually end up getting 5 trailer loads off the ground here, but we are getting quite a ways into this episode. We might even eclipse the 1800 I was talking about. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is we're going to dump the rest of this in here. I've already turned the silo on, so it is already making us silage. We already got 10,799 liters of silage, which is great. I can only hold so much grass, as you can tell, right? So I think what I'm going to end up doing, gang, is kind of complete the rest of this off camera, if you will. I'll get the rest of the grass picked up. You saw me do that a number of times already, so I'll get the rest of the grass picked up. I will also make sure that we fertilize that grass field, so that way it's going to give us a good 95% yield bonus yet again, because that's what we really want, right? We need that yield bonus for sure, so we can make ourselves some good money off the silage. Now, the only problem, as you saw, is that silo itself is great, and it goes through and it chews through it quickly, but it only holds so much, right? So I'm actually going to pour some more grass into the pen here. This should be sufficient. The rest of the grass that we're going to get up off the ground is going to go into that silo. It's just going to have to be at a slow interval rate here moving forward. So I will take care of all that, though. So by the time the next episode comes around, all of the grass will be in the silo one way or another, or it will be back into here ready to be sold. Now, silage, the price of silage doesn't really fluctuate all that much, so the odds are when it's ready to go, we are going to sell it because we need the money. But we should have enough money to hold off until the next episode. As I mentioned, I will take care of everything else on the grass field, get it prepped and ready to go, and we'll be back here for the next one in June. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash the like button for me, subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. Thanks so much to my 12 subscribers, or my 12 members. You guys are amazing and cannot thank you enough. And I'll see you on the next episode.